Today, video games are everywhere. They're on our phones, our computers, and our TVs. Billions of people play them, from kids to grandparents. But there was a time before Pac-Man, before Mario, before Space Invaders. Believe it or not, there was a time before video games existed at all. Imagine that. Then, in 1958, a physicist named William Higginbotham changed everything. He created a game. He called it Tennis for Two. It was simple, but it was the spark that ignited a revolution. Higginbotham wasn't trying to start a billion-dollar industry. He just wanted to make something fun. He worked at Brookhaven National Laboratory. Every year, the lab held an open house. People could come and see the amazing science happening there. Higginbotham thought a game would be a great way to get people excited. He was right. Tennis for Two was a hit. People lined up to play. This simple game, played on an oscilloscope, was the very first video game. It was the seed from which the entire video game industry grew. Before Tennis for Two, nobody could have imagined a world with Grand Theft Auto or Fortnite. But after Higginbotham's creation, anything was possible. The world had entered the dawn of digital entertainment. William Higginbotham wasn't your typical game developer. He wasn't a computer whiz kid or an electronics hobbyist. He was a physicist, and not just any physicist. Higginbotham had worked on the Manhattan Project, the top-secret effort to build the atomic bomb. He had seen the destructive power of science firsthand. After the war, Higginbotham dedicated himself to promoting peace. He wanted to use science for good. That's what led him to Brookhaven National Laboratory. He believed in sharing the wonders of science with the public, and he thought a game would be the perfect way to do it. He didn't want to just tell people about science, he wanted to show them. He wanted them to experience it. He wanted something interactive, something engaging. That's how Tennis for Two was born. It wasn't about making money or starting a business. It was about communication. It was about using technology to connect with people. Higginbotham used his knowledge of electronics to create the game. He didn't have fancy computers or graphics cards. He had an oscilloscope, a device that displays electrical signals, but that was enough. With a few knobs and buttons, he created a game that would change history. Tennis for Two was incredibly simple compared to today's games. There were no colorful characters, no elaborate levels, no internet multiplayer battles. The game was played on an oscilloscope, which normally displayed wavy lines. Higginbotham transformed this scientific instrument into a game screen. Two players controlled the game with separate controllers. Each controller had two knobs. One knob controlled the angle of the ball, a blip of light on the screen. The other knob controlled the net at the center of the screen. Players had to hit a button to hit the ball. The game even simulated gravity. Players could choose to play on Earth, the Moon, or Jupiter. Each setting affected the ball's trajectory. The technology behind the game was surprisingly basic. Higginbotham used analog circuits, resistors, capacitors, and a handful of transistors. The entire game ran on a small amount of hardware. There was no software, no programming language in the modern sense. The game's logic was hardwired into the circuits. Despite its simplicity, Tennis for Two was a technological marvel for its time. It demonstrated the potential of using electronics for entertainment. It was a testament to Higginbotham's ingenuity. He had taken laboratory equipment and turned it into something fun and engaging. Tennis for Two was a smash hit at the Brookhaven open house. People lined up to play, but Higginbotham didn't patent his invention. He didn't see it as a commercial product. It was just a fun way to share science with the public. Little did he know, he had created something groundbreaking. Tennis for Two was the first interactive electronic game. It was the seed that would grow into the multi-billion-dollar video game industry we know today. Higginbotham's legacy goes beyond video games. He was a tireless advocate for peace and nuclear disarmament. He co-founded the Federation of American Scientists. He dedicated his life to making the world a safer place. Today we remember William Higginbotham as the father of video games. He may not have set out to create an industry, but his creation changed the world. Tennis for Two was a spark of genius. It was a testament to the power of human creativity and the unexpected ways that science can shape our lives.